Yes.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jami Ahmed Opeyemi, and I'm a graduate student in University of Kentucky here in Kentucky. Here with me is Aliu Kasim, also a graduate student in University of Hong Kong, right? If I'm not
From University of
mistaken.
Science and Technology.
Okay, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Sorry.
Mm.
Then we have with us here Abiola Abdrazak Mujib. He's also a graduate student, a PhD student, and researcher in North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and he's going to be presenting his recent research for us. And and Mujib is originally from Nigeria, and he earned his bachelor's degree in civil engineering with an emphasis in transportation system from Central South University in China, Hunan, China. Then he is now pursuing his PhD in transportation engineering at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, here in the United States, where where his work centers on transportation safety and emerging technologies. His research focuses on leveraging roadway accident data to guide data-informed policy decisions and exploring the potential of innovations such as connected and automated vehicles to enhance road safety. Outside of his academic pursuits, he enjoys cooking and also playing soccer. So join me in welcoming
Yeah,
Mr. Aviola Abdurazak.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting this together. It's been a while. Thank you, guys. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, so you can go on. Yeah.
So, can I share my screen? I think I could, right? I could just
Yeah, I
share my.
think you should be able to.
Okay. I'm trying to see. Let me share. Uh, what do I have on my fish? I think okay. Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can't see it now.
You can?
Yeah, we can. We can.
Okay. Sorry. I wanted to talk about my. So this is my. So I'm curious, can you see my screen? Like, can you see in I'm sorry, I mean, I think
Empirical safety assessment for autonomous vehicles.
yes, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we can see it.
Yeah. Do you see it in like a presenter mode or, I mean, what kind of, like there's
Yeah, yeah. This is not the full screen. It's like in presenter mode or something.
okay, okay. Let me start yeah, you see, okay, I think it's full screen, yeah, right?
We can
No,
still
you still
see
see the presenter,
the presenter.
the
What
notes.
is, what is going on? Sorry, I will fix that. Uh, I'm looking at my screen. So this is part of my master's thesis proposal that I
Okay.
came. So I'm planning to defend it in a few weeks from now. So
Mm.
I wanted to kind of present the idea of what I did. So
Mm.
oh my God, what is the thing is okay? You can see my full screen now, and then if I decide to move to mm, this one, so you can see it in the presenter mode, right? Right, like this.
I think it's full now.
Mm.
Oh, full.
Probably full. Yeah, probably. Can you navigate to the sec? Yeah, I think it's okay.
Okay, it's
What do you
full
think,
now. Okay,
guys?
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
okay, okay. So this is full.
Uh, no, no, no.
Okay, you can still see my text here.
We,
Okay, it's fine. I hope it's just going well. I'm sorry
yeah, I
about
think
that.
it's okay. You can just go ahead.
So yeah, so my name is
I think you
Abiola.
should play it.
O- Okay, if I decide to
Yeah,
play,
yeah, that's it. That's okay.
Yeah, it's good now.
are you, are you saying it's presenter mode or as a?
No.
No, but we can see the maybe it's from my end. The transcription. Can
Okay, I mean
can
that's good. That is
Yeah, I
good.
think I can also see. I think that should be from our end, the
So,
transcription.
That's okay. That's okay. Just go
I mean,
ahead.
what I mean is, okay. So, can you still see now?
Yeah.
Like now? Okay. So, I mean, the idea is, so thank you so much for everyone for having me. So, um, empirical safety assessment for self-driving cars is my proposal for this thesis, and I thought it was really cool to present the idea of what I have right now to. Yeah, thank you. My name is Abiola, Mujib Abiola Abdulrazak, of course. So I like to use the Abiola because it's kind of the kind of Nigerian type of thing. So it kind of signals me. I think it's better. And then PhD. I'm doing my PhD in transportation at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And then I'm in the civil engineering department, and I focus on transportation safety and accident analysis. That's what I've been doing for almost 3 years on, right? I've been doing for 6 semesters, and I think it's not too bad. So my presentation I structured into 4 parts. I will just this introduction and the problem statement that I wanted to talk about in this study, and then there will be like extensive literature review that covers things into like autonomous vehicles and data analysis that people use in policy. And so in the US, they have this, every state, they have this Ministry of Transportation, or it's called Department of Transportation. So they use all of these accident data to make new kind of policy or pass a new type of law. So you always need some kind of data analyst somewhere to do some work, and then you can use to justify why you're making a new policy for road safety. So that's
Mm.
most of the things that we do in my lab. So we work with we work with the North Carolina Department of Transportation. So we do some work for them, and they could cite our work. They fund our research, and then they could cite it as a way to promote some kind of any policy that they're trying to work with. So that's what I do. And yeah, so road safety is it's a big problem. It's a $1 trillion problem all over the world, as we can see. Since 1980, the number of people that die on roadways worldwide every year has always been between 1.1 and 1.3 million, and it's been persistent, for a very, very long time. And as of 2023, according to the World Health Organization, it currently ranks at the ninth leading cause of death among all causes of death worldwide, and this is the first. It ranks number one among people between the age of 15 and 29. So younger people are very vulnerable in this context. And in addition to that, when you think about the impact it also has on injuries and insurance and hospital bills and other things, more than 15 million people also sustain injury worldwide. And then in the US, and I'm looking a little bit closer here. So every year we have about 40,000 people just die on the road. And unfortunately, we really couldn't do much about that. And according to the NHTSA, is like the National Traffic Highway Safety Administration, they estimated that the every year road safety deaths and insurance and costs it costs the average American every year, no, in totality, it costs Americans about $340 billion a year. And then when you think about this at a global scale, this will be in the maybe tens of trillions of dollars for about 195 countries. So this is very significant. Yes. So of course, we're thinking about what are the factors. I mean, why do we have crashes in the first place? Why do we have them? So according to a lot of studies, ranging between 90 and 95% of the causes of accidents are attributed to humans. So people make a lot of, and in literature they call them human error. I don't think the term is appropriate. You can think about, and people make, errors seems like, it sounds like accident, something that is unpreventable, something just accident. So I don't think it doesn't necessarily have to be a kind of mistake when you think about it. Up to about 50% of people that get into crashes, and at the time, people fatal crashes in the United States, about 50% of them at the time of crash, they don't have the seatbelt on, and about 32% are due to alcohol. Speeding is about a third of the crashes, and distraction also contributes about 10% of total crashes. But the problem is, as you can see here, the numbers they add up to more than 100% because these are not like mutually exclusive events. They could be happening simultaneously. So you could have someone under being impaired by drugs or alcohol, not using seatbelt while speeding and distracted. So you could have these things together. That's the idea. And then also you might have a kind of gray area that falls between through accident or just people just being being neglecting what's around them. We're looking at medication that could also come from hospitals, and these are not technically their fault, but sometimes someone has to be blamed for it. And also, so you actually have actual errors. People making bad judgment. You could have older drivers not, older drivers might react slower to incidents, and the crashes could be much worse. That is the idea. So humans would contribute significantly to road safety problem. So that is one of the reasons why there's a lot of interest in trying to reduce human input in the transportation system. So they've actually tried that. When you think about it, in other situations, if you think about rail safety or aviation safety, it's a lot easier to control because you have very little, like very few pool of trained experts that control the entire system, and then you could improve safety by just introducing some kind of strict standard to control people. So in the US, I think if you get into crashes, maybe if you're at fault for some time, you get some point taken out of your license point, and then at some point they suspend your license for a period of like 6 months, I believe. Even though is this active, or is this found to be very effective? Probably not. Studies show that even the drivers that you take away the license, about 3 out of every 4 of them still continue to drive anyways. So even though if we continue to punish people even much worse over time, that doesn't necessarily mean that things would be much better for everyone. So yes, it's hard to control people. So, I know the current approach that we do is we are trying to, they call it the 3 E's, which is the, engineering, education, and enforcement that's being used currently. So sometimes we try to make people slow down, or just, in terms of safety, we redesign roadways in such a way that forces driver to actually be much careful how they drive around certain roadway segments. Or we could try to enforcement, of course, there are always police cars around the place looking for super speeders and giving out tickets. And then we have this in education. There's a lot of campaigns being done actually, I receive a lot of them, a lot of emails, a lot of sometimes, yeah, I get so much, people just give me a lot of this pamphlets thing going around. So of course we spend a lot of money on that as well. But I mean, are they very effective? I think in the local sense, when you think about a roadway segment, maybe probably works. But when you think about the system level as a whole, that is not probably the impact is also very limited. So the emerging approach is, of course, humans make all the mistakes. How about we just, humans are not very reliable. How about we just try to minimize that and take out humans from making these decisions? So yes, so I wanted to talk about the vehicles that we have on our roadways today. They are typically classified into two broad groups, which are some vehicles that have some kind of driving assistance. Imagine like cruise control. So if you're driving for, let's say, 200 miles trip, I know, so and then you don't want to put your foot on the gas for so long, and then you could have cruise control being turned on a vehicle, and your vehicle will be at the same speed for so long you don't have to actually press the gas. So that's this cruise control. And then you have lane keeping assistance, or so many other advanced technologies that are meant to make driving a lot easier for drivers. So they are classified into ADAS, which is the level 1 and level 2 autonomous vehicle. So according to the Society of Automotive Engineers, they classify all vehicles into 5 types, and then you have 2 broad groups of them. So if your car is in level 1 and level 2, it means that your car has some kind of features like lane keeping assistance, cruise control, some kind of advanced features that you wouldn't normally see in an older vehicle. And then you have the last 3 groups are 3, 4, and 5, these automated driving systems. So these cars, they have greater functionality. They could, they could drive by themselves under most scenarios and make decisions autonomously. So that's the idea. And then most of the cars that we see today in San Francisco and all these cars in California, the self-driving cars that we see online, they are typically between level 3 and level 4. But I think they're level 3 actually. But the automakers would say that they are level 4. So it's for marketing purposes, but it's fine. I mean, yeah, that's a good thing. But level 5 is the highest level that we hope we would have in maybe 50, 60 years from now, when the cars they won't need to have like a steering wheel. They could just make all the decisions autonomously when they've learned over time. So that's the highest level of automations that is basically the future we're hoping to have. So yeah, most of the cars that we have today, the ones that we see online are typically 3 and 4. So of course, so we have the system where the level two, the lower level cars with a lot of um, a lot of functionality, like the forward. So they've been shown that they have potential in a lot of lab studies. So a lot of labs in the US, they have this, um, they do a lot of crash tests. So automakers have to send their vehicles to all these labs, and then they do a lot of crash testing, and then they give them some kind of rating. So the rating system is also very good for marketing in the US. So the study, this Anderson study from 2014 was also done in the lab, and automakers send their cars to them. And the second one was also done by the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. So they all get the cars in a sample when they do crash tests. So they've been shown that they're actually very effective, from 33%, 27% in probability of you getting into an accident when you're driving. So they are very safe. And then we expect that in the future, when you have this higher level 4, level 5, they are going to be much better, especially when they occupy a very large portion of the market. So imagine 70% of cars on our roadways are self-driving. So they probably would make smarter decisions, and at the system level, you have better safety outcome for everyone. So I'm not talking about the problem statement. So I think the problem statement here comes to marketing. So I was interested. So last year I was at a conference and I met some guys from Waymo. So Waymo is like this Google self-driving car company. They make a lot of self-driving, and then you compare. How do you compare the safety of your technology? So what they do is they compare them with human drivers. Of course, you will say so in the last 6 months, we've done hundreds of millions of miles, and then we have lower fatality per mile. So injuries per mile, so we had less injuries and less fatality compared to a comparable human driver. So they look at the data from the national level, and then you compare the performance of the self-driving technology over how many miles they've driven on the road. That's how it works. But the problem is, and so it got me thinking about how this whole thing works. This was actually where the idea came from. I thought this is unfair when you think about safety. How do you compare your vehicle? So self-driving cars, they have something called the operational design domain. So it's the idea that self-driving cars, they don't drive all the time. So if you want to take Waymo at night, they are actually highly restricted. In some states, you cannot drive Waymo at night because they don't trust their technology to be, to drive safely on the roadways at this time of the, just at this particular time. And also there are some cities. So right now, I think in Los Angeles, you can drive it, but you cannot go to like Sacramento, all these places. So the idea is that, yeah, they restrict them to certain time of the day, certain locations. So this operation design domain is that, yes, you're driving your car in a much safer situation and you're comparing them to humans that drive all the time. So that's unfair. Even if you compare, it's a little bit biased. I don't know, maybe this is intentional or not, but they do that all the time. So the baseline technology is also much safer. So this might be the biggest problem here, the baseline technology. So when you think about it, in the US, the average self-driving car is about 3 years old, while the average human car is about 13 years old. So if you get into an accident and you compare them, that self-driving car was able to save this guy and human cars have a higher fatality. I don't think it's because you're driving in self-driving mode. I think it might be just because the car is just much better. So safety regulations have been updated frequently in the US. So if a car from 2017 is causing so much death, a new law will come out by the end of 2017 to address this problem by before you release the 2018 model. So maybe this person would have survived even if it wasn't driving autonomously and it was only driving it by himself. That's the idea. So operation design domain and baseline technology. So our idea is that how about you just get the same vehicle instead of a lot of biases and a lot of context in this data. It kind of it's a bias outcome, it's safety outcome, but the companies love them because they can always use to sell their technology. And yeah, technically they're not lying, but the average person would not even think about this. But I think it's something that's worth considering. So what we do is that how about we get the driving data from this same car companies, and then we compare the performance of when the vehicle is being operated by human drivers and versus when it's being operated by autonomously. So you control for the technology, and then you can. I mean, this is not a perfect outcome, but I believe that this is a much better than thing than what we currently have. So when you think, so we want to compare them when they're being driven autonomously and when a human is driving the same vehicle. So we kind of control for technology, and then we can reduce bias that comes from this exposure condition truly isolates the effect of autonomy. That is the idea, and yes, that's it. So yeah, that is my problem statement. So then I had to go through like the literature review, kind of talk more about the history of autonomous driving. So in the US, of course, uh, it has been going on for a very long time. And we know that this is generally considered as one of the most transformative technology in the 21st century. And then we look at the, potential for safety that I've talked about. And then we also talk about efficiency. Self-driving cars are, you know, sometimes you're driving on the road and there's so much congestion. And there was no accident whatsoever. Just people are just, they're braking as much as they want and just things are just very complicated. And here in North Carolina, it's really, really bad. So, and also we're looking at equity also, older people, like people, younger people, older people that might not be able to drive at night. So when you have this technology, we have equity and accessibility for most people. So the research for autonomous driving, just like every other new technology, it's been going on for a very long time, since the 1950s. And the first one was done so the first ever autonomous vehicle, or a vehicle that has something very close to autonomous mode, was developed in Japan at the University of Tsukuba. And then, of course, the United States military started also, and in the 1980s, I believe in 1984, they started kind of experimenting with, kind of trying to keep up with technology. And at the time, it started through the DARPA program at the U.S. Army base. And then the project was given out to Carnegie Mellon. So Carnegie Mellon is like a top school in the U.S. in computer science and robotics. So they had a lot of funding at the time, so which was really cool. So the Grand Challenge, what is this program? I want to talk more about it. So this program, so before this program, autonomous vehicle research in the US has always been about it's very theoretical. There's no, consumption or application and industry is very limited. People don't do that. So in 2002, the US Congress came up with a $1 million prize that if you could call a complete any team, any research team across the US, if you could develop an autonomous car, using sensors, LiDAR, radar, and all kinds of things to complete this challenge, you win $1 million, which is a very good, and it's a lot of money actually, especially for 2002. That's a lot of money. It's about 150 miles. That's like I think that's like 250, maybe 280, 290 kilometers. So 290 kilometers in Mojave Desert in California, and between California and Nevada. So if you can complete that, you win $1 million. And yeah, in 2004, none of them were able to do it. In fact, it was so bad that the best team only did about 7 miles. So 7 out of 150, that is not a very good outcome. That's how primitive the technology was in 2004. And then, of course, so after that, of course, people want to win a lot of money and then they learn from the event. And in 2005, the first team to complete that was a team from Stanford University. They called it the So this was the 2004. The red cars were the one that actually won in 2004, and the best one to they did not win the money, but they were the best one in 2004. And in 2005, this team from Stanford were able to do it. And this was it moved it's a very significant catalyst to autonomous driving in the US. And also in literature, how do we do that? To compare when we want to compare self-driving car to human drivers. They have some teams around the US, they have this, they have money from the Congress, and then they have these cars in their lab, and then they could test them on the road. So I believe in North Carolina we have it here there's a school here like 90 minutes from here that they have this self-driving car, and then they have this testing track, which is really cool. And so and then when they do that, they do a lot of kinematics data. They collect like motion data, sensor data, and then what will happen is that we have simulation softwares where you can actually test them in simulation. So based on what these people study in the real world, we can replicate that in the simulation and then test a lot of scenarios. That's what most of the things that we do. We don't really have, but the thing is, these type of analysis are useful, but are they reliable? Probably not. but that's the best we have so far. And then we're looking at the empirical safety. So when people get into we look at accident data of this type of cars with certain technology on the real road. So it should be noted that in my previous study, I was showing some effectiveness of these features, but these are actually done in the lab. So when you look at what lab is saying compared to what the real world is saying, the numbers are always there's always some discrepancy. It's always very different. So when a car, a lot of studies will do, they look at this is the ACC. They look at the number of cars getting in an accident with adaptive cruise control, the lane keeping assistance, and the automated emergency braking. So they're looking at this safety and comparing it with human drivers, but the outcomes too are also biased due to many reasons. So because a car has an ADAS feature present in this car doesn't actually mean it's being used at the time of accident. So I looked at a consumer report survey that looked at the how US consumers are actually satisfied with certain features in their car, and we found that yeah, it's probably only the adaptive cruise control that's actually much better. Most of the other ones are less than 40% where people like them. So they are being disabled in the car, and then when you look at accident studies and you try to attribute this safety outcome to this vehicle, the outcome too is also very biased. Yes. So now these are the ADAS that I talk about, the first level of cars. And now we move to the cars with automated driving system that could just drive themselves. Uh, I mean, the real world, we don't really have data to be fair. We only have about two data sources right now. Some data sources in China are available, but I don't think they're not available to the public. Yeah, I think you have to, there's some clearance thing going on. So I tried to reach out to some Chinese stuff. Yeah, it's very complicated to get a self-driving car accident studies in China. So in the US, we have about two sources, which is the NHTSA. NHTSA is like the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. They do everything about road safety in the US, and they are controlled by they report to the White House. And then we have but the data sources, they're not that good. To be fair, they're very limited. We can't really do much with them. I've seen a lot of studies that use the data, and yeah, they're very limited. But the better one that we have right now is the CADMV, which is California Department of Motor Vehicles. So DMV, they're the one that control, yeah, for any state, they control about driver's license and everything, just driving in general. And then that's the data I plan to use. I've been using actually in this study. That's the data I used. But this is a proposal, so I don't have it yet. But we'll talk more about that. Yes, so I want to talk about data analysis. So using statistics, in a data analysis, data-driven methods are being used mostly in road safety. So there's always this kind of trade-off, when the different methods that people use in road safety analysis, and then you think about, they're typically divided into four parts, according to this study by Manor in 2020. So we have the data-driven models. So these are the machine learning model, neural network, ensemble, and a lot of this, but thousands of them being released every day. So people use a lot of AI, machine learning, deep learning model to make predictions. And then there's always this trade-off between being able to predict very well and also getting very useful insight to actually inform policy. And as I talked about at the beginning, my research is all about informing policy. So I do get it. They don't. So when it comes to explainability, these AI models are very limited. I mean, their capability is very limited in terms of. But I do understand there's a lot of methods out there to like model agnostic methods to make them much more explainable. Like the Shipley value that I think I saw it in one of the like your last presentation. I watched a YouTube video. So there's this Shipley value that's being used a lot in this model, but I don't know. There's always some kind of trade-off. But the last two models I'm interested more in them, which is the statistical methods, which is we have it in the national standard, and then the heterogeneity methods. So this is used mostly in the government and industry. Well, this one is a slightly advanced version of this one, but it's only being used in research at the moment, to be fair. So it's much more complicated, and yeah, industry people, I mean, they don't use it right now. So I want to talk about the methods. So there's a professor called Daniel McFadden. He is the one that developed this method in the 1990s, I believe. And he actually won the Nobel Prize for it in the year 2000. And then during his time, he had a student so he's a professor of economics and statistics, but this guy, Fred Manning, was doing his PhD in civil engineering. And then I think I don't know how he was a student, so he was doing a lot of research in this statistics, or even though he was doing civil engineering. So as a student, he introduced this method into uh, roadway safety research. So he's like, so a student in statistics, they brought the research into roadway safety. And then the initial method that we used to, there's in the highway safety manual have so many limitations that this statistical method have a lot of assumptions that they're often violated in the real world. And we've done this empirical test time and times over and realized that our conclusions might be very wrong in terms of informing any policy or anything. And then yes, and then this method is with I think the first paper was written in 2008, and I think right now this paper has been cited. I think maybe six. Okay, no, actually, it was been cited maybe 6,000 times. Like really, like it was written to 2008, but it wasn't really that popular until like 2016 when one and then it became like a very big deal. And oh, if you write a paper without this method, you're getting that's rejected now right now, unfortunately. But I mean, it's fine. We just do it. So, and then talk about the data. Data I'm using, of course, is the data from California. So if you all the car companies, Tesla, Waymo, Amazon, all these people, when they're testing any car and you get into an accident, you have to report them to the DMV within 10 days. And it's by law you must do that. And then at the end of the year, they collate this data together in in a PDF format and send it to they just send it to the public. You can email them. Actually, I don't know, maybe they send it to China, but if you're interested, you can always just send them an email. Maybe they might not send it to China to be fair, but yeah, I email them, they send me the data, and then yeah, so all the automakers are always sending data to them. So this is what a typical data report looks like. And then you try to record as much as possible. So I took over a few pages from the report. So you have, weather, what is the weather at the time of accident? What is the light and condition? What are the roadway surface? So many, they're trying to just get as much information as possible to kind of look at the autonomous vehicle. But as I said, I'm looking at this same vehicle platform and comparing the outcomes when they're being driven autonomously or and then because of they also have a lot of they have a lot of descriptions. So I'm using this LLM model yeah, there's an online model using the API to kind of read through all these files because I cannot read all of them. Um, so for example, this data you can see this is from an accident report in 2024, and then I screenshotted some part of it, which is a Waymo car driving in level 4 ADS, and it was in autonomous mode at the time of crashes. And then the both vehicles sustained damage. So you can use LLM to actually just read through them because yeah, there's just so much to read about. So I don't want to do that. And also you can tell what type of accident at the time. And also, so I use in this study I use the OpenCV. OpenCV is like Python library, so you can do image processing and just very fast. So I think when I compared, for me to read all these PDF files, a typical PDF file would take me up to about 3 minutes to put everything into an Excel file, and I was able. This works, I think within 2 point something seconds. It's very fast. So I don't. It also is very scalable. And if I decide to do it by hand, that would not be sustainable, especially in the future as these numbers get into the thousands. So this is a very simple way to just extract PDF files into Excel files in a very record time. Yeah, you could become much faster. Yes. So the method that I spoke about is the one I used in this study, and I did a lot of hypothesis testing. Although this is not included in this part actually, but this is just the idea, the method, and then yes. So what do we expect? This is my thesis, so my master's thesis. So we expect in a very simple way to extract data, and then I think to the best of my knowledge, to be fair, this data hasn't been used for a lot of research. So we are one of the few people to look at and to compare safety outcome this way. And our method is, yeah, it's much better actually than what we have right now. And we expect this to help a much fair way, a much equitable way to actually compare this safety and stop misleading the public and make the road safer for everyone. So these are some of my references. I put some of them, and thank you for your time. 30 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you so much
Thank you very much.
for the
Such a
beautiful
wonderful
presentation.
presentation.
I can see
I
Mr.
think
Franklin smiling. I can see he has maybe one or two questions for Mujib, right?
Um, wait, though. I need to. I think I wrote it wrong. Yeah, my email. What's going on? .edu. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, so I don't know. Questions from the audience?
Can you give me some? Sorry, I need to put my. I need to put my. I didn't know. I thought I put it. My battery is going down. Sorry.
Okay.
And yes, so yeah, I thought so. No problem.
All right. Questions, please. Please feel free to ask. Maybe the
All right.
method.
Uh, I think I
Yeah.
just have one question.
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So, following your presentation, you mentioned the problem at hand is misinformation, kind of, between um companies' data or what companies say that their products, their ADAS system do, how it
mm,
saves people's lives compared to what is happening realistically. For example, as you've mentioned, possibly at the time of accident, when you're talking about ADAS, the ADAS could be off, right?
Yes. Yes.
uh,
So it's more of like,
yeah, so if I so first it as a premise, uh, this is this is as this is not a very formal thing. So we just try to converse and discuss.
yeah,
So yeah,
okay,
if I might, if you allow me, Frank, um,
okay,
the I think the meat of the discussion is about methodological flaw, Mujib. So there's a flaw, for example, in the method um, for this assessment, and then you're trying to say, okay, because for example, they're based on uh, uh, events like crashes, how many accidents per year, frequency of accidents, and so on and so forth. And they're saying we have an unfair comparison because we are comparing automatic what do you call ADAS and ADS against human drivers, for example. And you're saying why not we do the comparison within this autonomous vehicles, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And then
Yes. Yeah.
within this framework, you want to compare between two modes, conventional mode and the auto mode, right?
Yes. Actually.
Yeah. I think this is, yeah, Frank. Just to put it
all
into
right,
perspective. Yeah.
o-
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. So but yeah. Yeah.
So I
So
can,
yeah. That's the idea.
so you're saying now the idea is we compare, okay, just like as Kasim has explained. My question is now I kind of had a little bit of trouble figuring out how you actually solve that with your methodology. That's my
Okay. Well,
question.
okay.
Yeah.
So okay. This is okay. I think the idea is that okay, I think in the problem statement, I will talk more about. Let me go into this. So I think the idea comes from I wouldn't call it misinformation because I mean you cannot say that legally. I don't know because they I mean
Hmm.
technically they're not lying, but I just feel like it's there's a lot of flaws in how you do this. So for instance, imagine you are in the same driving car in California and then you get into an accident and then you survive the crash. And then, of course, they would say, "Oh, wow, our self-driving car was able to take evasive action and save your life and all kind of things." Which is, I mean, is it true? Probably, maybe. So the idea is that when you compare these type of things, they're not fair in a way that one, let's look at the baseline technology. The car, your car is about 3 years old, and then the average self-driving car is about 2.5 years old, I believe, and then the average human car is like 14, 15 years old. So these are older cars that, the idea is that even that same car, that 3-year-old car, if it's not driven autonomously and you're the one driving it yourself, you would have survived that same crash. because it's not really has to do, it has nothing to do with autonomy. It has to do with the fact that baseline safety technology is much different. And then, but we put this, we just say, oh wow, our self-driving technology is so much better, and it's good for the company in general. I think that's the idea. And then our method, the reason I think our method solve this problem is the fact that how about you actually isolate the true effect of autonomy itself rather than just, you know, putting so many things that are much different but it works in your favor, so you think it's fair to compare them. But if you have this same vehicle, you could access them when they are, autonomous mode or conventional mode, and then you can actually and you control for the technology and the platform, and you just actually, it's the only thing that's actually different will just be, does he have self-driving at the time or not? So it's a much better way to look at it rather than just comparing them to the broad human population. Yeah, that's what I think.
All right.
Yeah, I think I have.
Mujib,
Okay.
okay, you want to, Ahmed? Should
Yeah, you
I,
can
or
go
you
on.
want to? All right,
You can go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mujib, so firstly, I agree that your proposed method is much better. However, I have a few concerns. So I think the biggest problem here is that you're assuming that the conventional mode is representative of everyday drivers, which I think is not correct. That's one. Number two, in order for you to do an appropriate comparison, you need to subject both modes to very similar conditions. Okay, this might not be possible. So, for example, you talked about the ODD, right?
Yes.
Of the auto mode. So that immediately gives you a limitation. So, for example, you need to now force the conventional mode to be driven only within the ODD. Okay.
Yeah.
So this has a lot of issues. So for example, the sample size might be a tail one. So you only have, for example, extremely very limited data because it's skewed to only that the ODD. Another thing is, I think that even for the conventional mode, for example, given data you have, I don't think the conventional mode is engaged by everyday drivers. I think it will be engaged or used by professional drivers who are more highly trained than the average drivers. I mean, from the data sourcing part.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's true. I mean
So these are I think but I agree
if I,
100% that it's better than what we currently have.
yeah.
if I may
So
interject,
Go
if I
ahead.
may
okay,
interject,
Go ahead.
when
okay.
we are classifying conventional mode and auto mode, conventional mode, does that imply human drivers?
Yes, actually,
Yes.
yes.
If human drivers, then auto
Yeah.
mode is just anything that has to do with um assisted driving.
I think the
No,
car
no.
is basically driving itself, right?
Yes,
In that
that is
mode.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I think auto mode, you mentioned both assisted driving and full self-driving.
yes,
Oh, you
yes,
know,
yes.
you categorized it into five. So is it
Yes,
the number
yes.
five, like
So
the
that means
extreme automation, or?
Yeah. So okay, yeah.
Automation means ADAS and full self-driving, right?
Yes.
ADAS, ADAS.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So I'm trying to get from what Kasim was saying about conventional drivers not being a representative of everyday driver.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, yeah, to some extent, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's actually a good thing to
I think you should first establish which automation level do you want to work with?
I mean, the automation level, I'm not working with ADAS in this study. It's ADS, the driving system,
ADS.
the self-driving car. Yeah, I'm not working with ADAS
So
in this
which one?
study.
What level?
They're between 3 and 4. 3 and 4,
Three
yeah.
and four. Three and four.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you have So we're not talking about assisted driving here. We're talking about full
Yes, yeah,
automation.
this, yeah,
Not,
yes,
not
yes.
full
I mean,
automation in sense of level 5, but you
we
have
don't have
some
level
some
5.
some
Yeah,
some 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 control here.
yeah, we don't have level
The
5
car is
right now.
actually driving itself,
Yes, yes. We
basically.
don't have level 5 right now, so it's only between 3 and 4. We don't have 5.
Okay.
So how would
So,
you address some of these sources of bias?
I think that's a good question. But I mean, to be fair, we are also kind of limited by the kind of data that we have. To be fair, this is the best data out there to actually make any type of comparison. And also to actually there's a lot of limitations always exist when it comes to these things. But I think it's fair in a way that I get it. The average guy, working for Waymo to drive their car, they are usually professionals, highly trained people. But I think we should. That's actually good. That's a good. That makes sense, of course. But I think we should probably hold this self-driving cars to a higher standard. At least you must be better. If you're better than our best, I think we can, truly actually, give you. It should be. I don't think we should compare a self-driving car to the average driver in the first place. And I think it's probably better if
I,
we
I
compare
think
that.
I think the perspective is you're trying to
Mm.
see how much does how much does automation reduce fatalities.
Yeah,
So
something like
so
that.
somehow so it's not about whether the auto mode it's not about. I think it's not the skillfulness of the human driver is not what is in question. What is in question is the method, the mode, not the skillfulness, not the capacity of the driver, not whether he's skilled or he's highly skilled. I know that is a factor, but it's not a determining factor. The determining factor is to say if a human driver drives the car, okay, what's the fatality rate? If we have an ADAS or an ADS drive the car, what's the fatality rate? So we're trying to isolate as much factors as possible, okay, so that the only remaining major players will be the driving mode. Okay. So I think
I'm
this is a
thinking,
big
I'm
problem.
thinking, I'm thinking, isn't that what you did? I think that's what you did.
Sorry, Frank.
I think I'm thinking that's what his work did, right? That's what your work did, right?
No, I
This
think
No,
my
isolation.
his work. I think basically what he's saying, if I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, Abiola.
okay. Okay.
What he's saying is that currently, okay, what you have is an unfair comparison. You're comparing you're comparing everyday driving, okay, with auto. He's saying that that's an unfair comparison because maybe that's not maybe it's not because it is auto and this is conventional maybe that's not the problem. He's saying on the same system, on the same platform, I have conventional, okay, and I have ADS and ADS. If I switch modes and compare what happens, maybe this is a better way of isolating the problem and the factors that cause these fatalities. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Abiola.
Yeah. So
Is that
actually,
the case?
well, I think, yeah, I do. I do admit that there's a flaw with the ODD type of thing, especially comparing the skillfulness of the driver, or also because I think, yeah, that does make sense. But unfortunately, we are also kind of constrained by the data. Actually, one of the limitations I wrote in this thing was also relates to this, because I later found out this was I did this study actually was in 2024. So then I came up with, so I found this kind of limitation from one of those reviewers over time, and then I realized that comparing them, the OGT2 is very different. So what happens is that when you give control to human driver, I think it's probably likely because you're not very confident enough, and you feel like the risk, on the underlying risk, are much greater in the first place, and then you put humans to actually take over the system. So even though the crashes will probably be much higher with humans, because for you to give the access to humans, it means that you're just not the ODTs, your vehicle's out of the operation design domain. That's the idea. So that's one of the limitations that I addressed in one of my in it. But this is a proposal. I haven't. Yeah, I didn't include that here actually.
And uh, if when you switch between conventional mode and so you switch from conventional mode, okay, to auto
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah.
Is it really auto?
I mean,
Because
yes.
no, think about it. For example, the sensors are still there. The automatic braking system is still there.
I think
It's still there.
I think the
So
definition of the definition of auto here now has to you have to inculcate the levels he's talking about, level 3, level 4.
Yeah. I think the definition of auto is like
Yeah.
maybe you are not fully allowing the car to drive itself
To
totally,
drive itself.
100%.
no,
So let's
I
say,
think Mujib should answer the question directly. What is the
Okay.
definition of auto in your case?
That's
No.
why I asked.
So I mean,
That's why I asked. We should define what we mean by conventional and what we meant by
Please,
auto.
can you go to the slide? Can you go to the slide?
yeah, I think
Yes,
he
There's a slide that
mentioned
defines the
that.
he
levels. The
mentioned
levels.
it. He mentioned it.
Yeah,
He mentioned auto, and he said it again. It is level 3, level
yeah,
4, and then conventional now is human drivers, whether you are
yes.
skillful or you are not skillful.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
but that does not apply here.
I mean, which slide?
In his proposition, that does not
yeah,
apply.
this
The
slide, right?
human is necessarily skillful.
No, so basically, because the humans here in this context are employed by the company actually to drive the
Yes.
same car,
So they're
and then
necessarily skillful.
and then we are now
Necessarily.
comparing this human. I mean, of course, they will be highly skilled, and then they're not. I don't think they also represent the average driver in the first place. But
Okay.
I think we should. But I think it's fair if we hold this vehicle to higher standard than what the typical humans are. So if you're not really better than our best, why should we give you why should we trust you with the lives of millions of people? I think it's fair to say that, but I think the ODD also has some problems here when we think about it because
Because
yes,
you cannot switch at will, right?
uh
You
No,
can.
you
you
know
can. You can.
no, I
Sorry?
don't. So what happens is that these auto companies they are giving the car to they're giving to professional drivers to actually drive it around, operate normally, and then also they also they also do it. It's like they're doing both at the same time. They have this two operations thing going on. So, but this same vehicle also can also switch between auto and conventional.
No,
That's
that's
what.
not the point. Then what about the ODD? What's the point of the ODD if I can switch at will?
But I mean, sorry, can you explain the question again? The ODD.
What's the point of the ODD if I can
So,
switch when and where I want?
huh, I don't think. Can you kind of explain? I don't think I understand the question.
The ODD is basically a mapped area that okay, the auto we have
Yeah.
high confidence
So there's
that the auto works here well, right?
yes, I want to show you this. There was a study that was done. Actually, so they are actually roughly within the same. They are still kind of within the ODD. That's what I'm saying. So there was a study that was done. Let me show you this study. Tarrant. There's this guy. So actually, there's the study. Yes, they are still kind of within the ODD. That's what I'm saying. They are still kind of within the ODD I'm talking about. Let me show you the. There's a study. There was this guy that did the spatial analysis for this same work. Yes, this guy. There's a um,
Also, how do you account, for example, for tail events? Okay, so all of a sudden, some large construction needs to be needs to be done on the way.
like
And this model the model has not seen this kind of event before.
what I do understand with the ODD is that these are actually they're within the same the cars they cannot actually leave like you cannot leave the San Francisco area. That's what I mean.
But
And
it's
the
not the
cars are
whole
within.
of San Francisco.
Let me so based on what I could see from the spatial
Because
distribution of this
if it
data,
were the whole of San Francisco, there would not be a need to define an ODD in the first place.
let me. But I think so. This is what it looks. Can you see my screen?
No.
What we're seeing is problem statements.
Okay.
Empirical AV safety in research is primarily evaluated.
So
La la la.
let me look at the. How do you share? Yeah. So what I do? Can you see my screen here? Huh?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Processing the
Okay.
problem statement.
So I mean, there's some studies that, so
Yeah,
this is what
yeah,
so
yeah.
what the typical distribution looks like, especially. So what I do understand, hmm, they tend to kind of there's a lot of clustering here when it comes to this is the I think this is the Bay Area, and then you have this LA, and I don't know. So there's I think I think the ODD might not apply in this context. So I think ODD tend to the cars are still like this same vehicle are still being driven actually within the same places. So it's by law you cannot actually go outside there. They're not going outside of the ODD because the you need approval to actually drive this same car.
Regardless of the mode,
Yes, you need
regardless of the
approval
driving
to
mode.
yes you need
Okay,
the yeah you need them by law to actually move within this. So the ODD I don't think it applies in this context actually. So
okay.
yeah
So
they're still within.
you're saying you can you we you're saying that we have a guarantee that both conventional and auto mode will be subjected to the
Yeah,
same driving conditions, more or less.
so no, I think there are for instance level 4 cars you cannot it's banned you cannot use they don't like they're not they're banned in North Carolina right now you cannot bring them here whether autonomous or conventional you're not allowed to do that.
Mm.
So I think there's yeah the ODD I don't think it applies here. I think it's more like baseline technology problem. I don't think it has anything to do with ODD. I think it was more of a baseline technology problem. But the OTD I'm arguing about was has nothing to do with the location. What I my limitation what I mentioned has to do with the perceived risk at that time. So in that same that same location, you might probably feel like things are too complicated, and then okay, humans the human driver should take over. So like when these cars are driving, and there's always like a human sitting somewhere, is in the driver's seat, but meant to just be following the whole process. But I think when the risks are generally higher, when they feel like the cars are they might be doing too much, the human might take over a more professional context. So I think that's where my ODD here applies, not necessarily within the like the spatial
And
district, not necessarily
and
within the
how about the point? I think I raised the point, which still um, worries me actually. Is that when you switch um, from auto to conventional
Okay,
mode,
okay,
I think there's an incomplete isolation of this. You cannot really in an auto in a car, for example, that has both modes, you cannot
mm,
really isolate this auto mode. When you switch from auto, for example, to conventional, you are not really isolating because all of the special features are still there, the sensors. So, for example, this forward collision warning,
yeah.
it will still be there. The automatic braking system will still be there. So so when you switch from auto to conventional mode, it's not a real you're not you're not you're not simulating the real human in a normal car situation. You're not. You're not.
So the idea is that you want like just human controlling it, and then all kinds of assistance is gone forever, and now just autonomous.
I'm saying the conventional mode
Mm,
in a multi-mode driving system, it's not a real human. So the human is still assisted by advanced technologies. So you
okay.
cannot say, for example, if you get the results, you cannot say uh, uh, the human is responsible for everything that happened in the conventional mode. It's
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
not.
I think if I understand what's going on or what he explained, like the conventional mode will be I will, or if I'm doing this work, or from your understanding, the conventional mode is defined like there's a maybe a level to the conventional mode. Maybe there might be some little auto in it, maybe as you said now, some little sensors to like automatic braking. So
Mm.
probably maybe the way the world is evolving, like almost let's say 70 or 80% of cars now, like will categorize those as conventional mode. So I think it just depends on how you categorize what's conventional and what is actually
You know why I'm
automation.
coming from this perspective?
Okay.
Okay.
The basis for the premise for his proposition
Mm.
is that you're comparing one platform, which is so you have an when you have a self-driving car, for example, that has both
Yeah.
modes, conventional
Mm.
and then you have on a separate platform, a completely different platform. So you're comparing this one platform that's human driven and the auto mode of this guy. He's saying it's unfair. I agree. Then you're saying, let us compare within this platform now, which is much better. I agree. Okay, but I'm saying you're still. I'm saying now your human the conventional mode is not comparable to the other different platform human driving system that you left. It's not the same.
Okay.
I'm saying it's not the same. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, Frank.
All right. Now,
Sorry.
We can't
Please
hear
let's
you
try
very audibly.
to round everything off in 5
I
minutes.
agree.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. You wanted to ask a question too, Okwe? Go.
I mean,
I think I actually find this interesting. Abiola, I hope you're not wasting your time.
No, absolutely.
Frank, we can't hear you very well.
Frank, can you hear me now?
It's a bit
Okay,
muddled.
I'll just put my question out there because I'm on the road, that's why. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So I said I'll leave my question now just to kind of hear
No,
me
don't worry.
clear.
Ask.
Okay, can you hear me?
yeah,
Yes.
just go on.
All right. So Captain, I understand your concern, and I think I also understand what Abiola is saying, especially because for my masters, what I worked on was also ADAS system.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear me?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
go
That's
on.
okay.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Now, in an ADAS system, you have the autonomy to toggle it off. You have that.
Okay.
Yes, the sensors might still be operating, but what the ADAS system does for you is that when we tend to tell the car that, okay, there is someone at the front, then the car automatically steps on the brake without your intervention. That is when the ADAS is done. But if the ADAS is off, yes, the sensor will tell you, hey, there is someone at the front. If you don't step on that brake, the car will hit that person. That is ADAS system off. So in an ADAS system, you have the autonomy to toggle it on or toggle it off. Why? Because some people feel that the ADAS system sometimes intrudes. And when it intrudes, what do? You just toggle it off, you don't want it. And there's a button on the car, on the steering wheel for you to toggle that off. Yes, your sensors are still there. And why I guess your concern is that this ADAS car or this autonomous cars, they are way more well equipped than the average 13-year-old car as Abiola talked about. I don't know if I'm with you. So I think that in Abiola's defense, yes, he's still trying to just find something better than what the companies are just selling to us.
Okay.
I think you guys should turn this together off. So I don't know. I think that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You
don't
have
know.
another question. Let's round this up.
Yeah, Mujib, maybe if you have any observation
I mean,
on
yeah,
what
I do. I
Frank
mean,
said, let's round it up.
okay. That's totally fine.
And
So yeah.
look, the purpose of this is to just enjoy science and engineering. Okay. But,
Yeah.
and I'm sure I'm sure because and I think it's good for your proposal also. You think about it even more.
I'm actually finding it interesting, actually. Thank you. Thank you, Agatha, for your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really wanna
Yeah.
so
Okay.
thank you.
You want to round this up?
All right. Thank you everyone for
Okay.
coming in. At least, yeah. You have a very, very enjoyable, and at least I even have more insight on what Aviola is working on. And though I have some process, like the processing, like the actual work being done, I have questions on that, but due to limitation in time, so maybe
I mean,
maybe I
yeah,
might ask. that
Yeah, even if
personally,
you,
or maybe
I mean, if you
another
have
time.
concerns, you can send me an
Yeah.
email.
Please, you should come back after your proposal.
What? Sorry, what is it?
You should come back after your proposal.
Oh,
Okay.
so yeah, you can send me an email if you have like more concerns. I
All
can
right,
probably
all right,
assume better.
all right, all right. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
for
thanks.
coming, for
Okay,
giving
thank
us
you.
this.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for your time.